I'm in pieces, bits and pieces. Hi, survivors. Hi, family and friends. This is Roy from Bootsy Sweetheart's Guide to Life and Other Disappointing Experiences with a video about bits and pieces of fabric that we're going to sew together, and I'll show you how I make my crazy patch. Well, that was fun. Good thing I get my head all back together. Well, this video is two purposes. One, to just give you a little bit of a view of my recording setup and how I make my rustic videos with stuff from the garage, really. And how I put together a simple crazy patch block. Well, anyone who crafts knows that you have, at the end of a project, leftover scraps of something. Either it wood, if you're a woodworker, yarns, which I have plenty of, if you do fiber arts, and scraps of paper, if you do paper arts. Well, I do a lot of sewing, so I have fabric scraps. And I tell you, I have fabric scraps. I probably have more scraps than I have full cut pieces. And I store them in bins, and I put rubber bands around ones that I've sorted. Sometimes I'll sort them by color. Let's see here, I have some greens. I have pinks in one other one. And here's one with more purplish scraps, and I just save scraps and scraps and scraps in the and I want to make more projects with them. So of course what I do is crazy patch, or I'll make an embellishment or yo-yos or something, but mostly crazy patch, and for this video I'm going to focus on that. So I start out with a bin and I sort and fold, and I start sewing them together. Let's see here. I've got in the back of me. Now here's here's something I just started sewing together, and I get these big pieces that I'll cut down even more and more and more. This is a pretty one. I put these away and I don't find them until I'm looking for something else. Here is a different collection of, I would say, like a colorways. And it's just so much fun to sit there and mindlessly sew these pieces together. Right now I'm pressing them to one side. I think I've got to start pressing them open, just maybe a little easier. Then I cut these up into smaller pieces and sew these pieces together. In the end, I'm hoping to come up with a crazy patch, and I wind up also now with little scraps here. A lot of these scraps will go into another part of an already started crazy patch. So I thought I'd show you my setup for it. By the way, thank you Lizzie Brewer from Scrappin' Lizzie Unicorns for another hint. When they get really small, I save them, and like she does, you can use these as stuffing in small little projects. If you want to stuff a yo-yo or stuff a little toy that you've made. You know, I haven't tried them on the pocket prayer quilts. I'm thinking that might be an idea. So let me show you my setup and how I've set up my work area to do this kind of work, because there's a lot of little steps involved. It's not difficult at all. It's just that there's a lot of little steps involved. And you can wind up standing up. It could be physically exhausting if you don't do it in a way that not ergonomically, but in a way that's comfortable for you. Let me get started. A few people have asked me how I do my editing and videoing. I'm not trained. This is really a hot mess, whether it shows in the work or not. You can see I have a Logitech. I'm not sure this is the 920, and right close by, I keep hitting my head on it. I have a Logitech on the monitor facing me, and then I have another camera, an old one, facing a third station, which is an ironing station. So I thought I'd show you my setup for doing Crazy Patch, because Crazy Patch can be physical, because if you're like me, who irons in between sewing, it becomes very labor intensive, at least physically. So you'll see me moving the mouse. I'm using OBS Studio, free software, and I'll be editing it on Adobe Premiere Elements. So now I have scenes set up. So this is just the forward facing. Then I have a vertical cam. That was the one that I keep hitting my head on. And then I have the third cam, which is the old cam, and that's on the ironing space. And I can group them and put all three together. Now, for what I'm doing, oh my goodness, it's very difficult looking at the monitor to figure out what's going on. Oh my goodness. All right, I'm still here. Still here. Here is the down camera, and I have a cutting board. This happens to be a rotating one. I didn't realize it when I bought it that it was. Turned out it was the perfect solution to the problem. And it's 7 by 7 sort of. The measurements are a little wonky. Of course, I have my machine with my old Juki. Then all I do is just see if I can show you this. I just turn to the side. I have an L, and I have my ironing board set up. It's on top of a card I got from IKEA a long time ago. I'll make a video on my pressing station, because that's kind of impressive, if I don't say so myself. So that's where we are, and I can show you the whole process just by using the mouse and changing scenes on the OBS software. I don't know whether I can get a good screenshot from this, but I'll try. I'll see what I can do. Insert here. So what I can do now is scene 2 is 2 cams, which means I have my portrait cam, the horizontal, and the vertical. This is what I use most of the time. And somebody asked me whether or not I was trained in all this. What's my background? Well, my background is elementary school education. But curious minds in elementary education. So the first thing I do is start by putting little pieces together. Any 2 or 3 little pieces. Sometimes they look like they're going to match. And I can do it vertically. I can do it on a diagonal. Doesn't matter. This one I'll do on a diagonal just to be different. And I have a raw edge that's fuzzy here. I simply go over to the machine. It's very little physical movement. Sew the seam. Now I'm going to do a machine cut. I think I'll only do it one time because I think it's going to be noisy. Let me see. Yeah, it's too noisy. And then I'll come, because I have the cutting board right here, I can come and chop off the extra. I love this. This is Bootsy at work, dropping things. I have enough rulers here because I do tend to drop. This is a great, you can't get it anymore, but it automatically retracts the blade when you put it down. And with my reputation for being clumsy. Anyway, so now I can just switch to 3 cams, or I can just go to the ironing station and show you how I iron this. Press it first closed the way it was, and I'll try to press to the lighter fabric so it doesn't show through. And now I just add another piece, and I just turn my body, and not a lot of movement. I think just pick, this is the purple. I like this purple. No, if I were doing like a family of colors, that would matter, or if I was doing some sort of theme, it would matter, but this doesn't matter. So what I'll do is, I think I'll go across like this, very arbitrary. And I'm going to try to start from here to preserve some of the small pieces so I don't have little teensy bits left over. Simply sew this down. I'm going to press the needle and pull it out so I don't have to hear that bang. Grab my ruler and here's the edge. Simply chop that off. Now I have 2 pieces. Let me focus on this one first. Now I can put this back later on, or I can put it on now if I want to keep the same fabrics. And then I go over to my mouse. And I'm going to go to vertical. I did that. And I'm going to go to my 3rd cam, which is the iron. Seal the seam there. In this case, I'm going to go. Now I'm hardly moving. I am hardly moving at all. Now I'm going to switch to 2 cams, me and the oh, I'm sorry, Mom, I put myself first. The machine and I. Elementary school teacher, my foot. And then I'll add another piece. So eventually I'll get to something that looks like, now this one I've chose a theme like this with a bunch of pieces that are fairly nice size, but not big enough to do too much with. So I have a purple theme here going. And let me just make this bigger, a bigger piece of fabric, and see how this turns out. So I continue until I have a piece big enough for any project that I'm working on. Now what I'm doing for this project is making just squares, crazy patch squares. Here I embedded some lace in one of the seams. I'll do that at another time. Pretty, let me put these on the background. Pretty squares. Some of these I've started, I don't know if I have it here. Yes, I've started. This is now slow stitching. So I've added some slow stitching here. I slow stitched some, this is the edge of a tablecloth of some kind, and here's some mesh here. I've got to trim that off. But so this is where I'm going with this particular square. project, and I'm going to make a square out of this. By the way, another interesting thing here. I was surprised to find out that they charge a lot of money for these rotary cutters. And I'm thinking, Lazy Susan, there must be some sort of mechanical thing in there. Nope. It's an inset, a disc. They're just very slick. They fit together, and there they go. Now comes the deciding whether I want a big or a little square. This is 4 by 4, and then I have I had a 5 by 5. Of course, I don't have it here. This is 4.5 square. All right. So now I can, at least with the 4 by 4, I can preview it a little bit to see where the nice variety of colors come in. I want to just be careful. Here and there, we have an intersection. I don't want to get too involved with the intersection. Now this is moving on top, and I'm not too happy with that. So what I do is usually I put a strip of removable tape on the back of the cutter, on the back of the ruler. In this case, I didn't have any. Too close to a seam. I didn't have any temporary, so this is permanent. I'm going to just chop here, and like that. How about that? I don't have a lot of seams on the edge. Now, hopefully, this whole thing moves a little bit easier together, and I'm just going to whack off. Now I could also draw around the, here's what I like about this. I could draw around the shape and cut it out with scissors even. You don't need the rotary cutter. That was silly. Okay, here we go. Turn it one more time. This is why I like the rotating mat. And here's the, oh, look at how pretty. See this, it always surprises me when I cut them up. They either look a lot better or a lot worse. Here's a mistake I've made that you shouldn't make too much of if you do this. These two would probably join, right? But you're going to get very little. You're going to get very little of this piece because it's so close to the seam. Actually, you're probably only going to get a little bit of it. Let me just fold this back. You may not get any of it, actually. So just be a little more careful. I don't do a lot of thinking when I'm on the camera. So anyway, this is my setup and just a quick demonstration on how I do Crazy Patch. And I can do these for days and days and days and days. I just love it. Now I have to do something with them. Some of these are going to be pockets, and I'll back them, and they'll be pockets. Add a little interest to things. Pretty. This one you can't see, but I wasn't careful. And there's a, I don't know if I can show you this. There's a hole in the seam. I missed. So this one's got to get either fixed or cut up or something. I don't know whether you can see where is it? Oh, here it is. Can you see here? I didn't get, I don't have the focus on. But anyway, there's a hole here that you can see through. Crazy Patch. Thank you so much for viewing. Thank you for supporting my channel. Thank you for your friendship. It's always fun to go on the live streams. So until the next time, please stay safe, stay well, stay smart, and bye for now.